All right, everybody. Yeah, I am the Rock God of Podcasting. Hey, let me hit record on the podcast here. All right. Hey, there we are. I'm the Rock God Podcasting, Charles McFall, and I am not necessarily alone tonight. I'm just alone right now. Tyra, something has. Okay, let me go on a slight little rant that I think all of us creators, all of us people who use computers can relate to. I am so sick and tired of everybody thinking we're stupid and making every computer program like we're stupid. Now, I understand there's people who are out there who don't understand how to use computers and recording, all that. Who cares? We're not selling to them. They're not your biggest market. We are. So, all that being said, some setting somewhere in StreamYard, we're getting off of StreamYard as fast as we can. StreamYard keeps changing my computer every time I go to broadcast, and now it's on a Mac. It's changed Tyra's computer to where all she hears, no matter where she plugs her headphone in, all she's hearing is two versions of her voice constantly, and she can't think. She can't respond. She can't talk. So right now, that's what's going on. She is trying to solve that problem. As long as StreamYard was not open, perfectly fine. Everything worked the way it's supposed to. The moment she opened StreamYard, 2 layers. On a PC, I had to go through all of this not that long ago, right in front of Wise and Nerdy, and deal with it there. And we through 2 different times we got it fixed. But even every time I get on here with Tyra, or the boys on Wise and Nerdy, I have to go on my Windows control panel and say, "Oh no, that microphone that you just automatically turned down to almost nothing, stop that, you moron. That's my recording microphone. Do not touch." But I can't make it stop touching. So there's that. So she's dealing with that, but and it's StreamYard. It's 100% StreamYard. So hey, don't use StreamYard. They suck. How about that? How about them apples? You know, my subscription to them runs out here in about 2 months, and I will absolutely be using other platforms because this is too much of a mess. All that being said, I am waiting for Tyra to hopefully be able to jump back in here in just a minute with the audio feedback loop closed and letting her work it out a little better. Tonight, let me tease you what we're going to do tonight. Tonight, we are going to talk about the power of yes and how it can magically change your life. And I know that sounds like a motivational thing, but I know Tyra has some stories of where she was unsure of her footing, right? She was not sure of herself into going into a number of different realms. She's talked about being on camera at Kennesaw State. She has talked about moderating at DragonCon, and I'm sure those stories are going to be talked about somewhat in depth here tonight. And I've got a story to share that is 10 years in the making that is coming to a very cool connection, close, if you will, onto the next chapter, where one time I was talked into doing something that I was very resistant to, and I said yes, and I went to this conference that I couldn't afford, but somebody paid for me to go, and 10 years later, man, magic's happening. So that is what we're going to talk about tonight. So in the meantime, throw some comments up in the chat, throw some questions, say hello, whatever it is that you want to do, and we're going to be awesome together, and I'm just kind of killing time. So, all right, let's see. All right, Tyra, did you get it fixed?
I don't know. No.
Oh, no.
But it's better.
Okay, good.
So,
this is,
you know.
I went on a tiny little mini rant while warming people up going, we're done with StreamYard. I am so sick of StreamYard changing the settings on my computer. I was just telling them every time you get on, I was like, hey, I can't hear you. I have to go back in the setting, turn it back up, and it's random. It's not like, oh, well, last week's no. StreamYard messes with your stuff. They have doubled the price on their platform. They are worthless. They are horrible now. Do not use StreamYard. So.
And frickin' expensive.
Yes, super expensive. All right. Let's do something happy, though.
Make my audio work.
There, it works. Are you tired of being awesome alone? Well, so are we. So tonight, join us in saying yes, and we can be all awesome together.
So are you getting feedback? I know what the problem is.
All right. Now, yes, Tyler says we're getting double here, but
Yep, I'm going to be back. I figured out what's wrong.
okay. So was it me?
Talk it to yourself. It'll be back.
I don't know. I changed the setting too. I'll talk it to myself. Talking. So she says she figured it out. So I'm gonna put it back on what I think it should be. But it's flickering like there's audio. So hey, all right. You heard Tyra twice. How about well, okay, you can't hear Tyra now. Sorry, everybody on the podcast. We are still trying to figure out why StreamYard's going nuts. So when she said I found a fix, it's fixed. Yeah, I'm wondering now if StreamYard didn't bump my soundboard to a wrong setting. This is software should do what it's told. Okay, software should be, I set this setting, don't move it, don't touch it, don't blink, the angels will get you. You know, it should just leave it alone. So she's going to be back in just a second. But yes, as you heard in the intro, we're going to talk about the power of yes. And that's not that full big motivational like Tony Robbins thing. It very much is, as humans, we really want to wait and see that something works. We want to be sure of ourselves. But here's the thing, until you try something, how do you know if you're good at it or bad at it? If you try something and find out you're okay at it, how do you get better? You got to keep trying it. And we're going to share stories tonight of when we stepped up and said, yeah, I'll do that thing, and how it changed our lives. And mostly in a creative world, right? Tyler, you you are a volunteer on the digital media track. And, you know, I got to imagine at some point you probably went, well, I'm not sure if I can do that. And then you reached out, we talked, and then you said yes. And hopefully it opened up a world to you and changed some things up. Trying to not get into too much of the content before she's back. Blink. She's not here. That's Morse code. I don't know. Better Man. Hey, everybody should go see A Better Man. That's a great movie. It is so sad how America responded to it. Just so super negatively before it ever hit the theaters. And I know it wasn't in the theaters for very, very long. It's such a phenomenal movie. I got to go be on TV's Travis show. Wait, you haven't seen? And we talked about it. And it just changed my life. All right. How about now?
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear me too.
All
And
right,
only once.
I'm going to check something because I still think it's StreamYard. I think StreamYard messed with my sound. I'm going to do this thing. Now talk to me, Tyra.
I can hear you. Oh, that's the echo.
So it did. StreamYard not only changed my camera settings, changed my computer audio, it flipped to the wrong audio input, which feeds you back instead of keeps you separated.
Well, that's just ducky. So now
it's ducky indeed.
Okay, I'm going to plug my headset into here now so maybe I can hear things. Hang on.
No, don't want to hear anything. All right, there we go. Plug it in.
Okay, let's see. Oh.
And yeah.
I am so sorry, everybody.
Why are you apologizing? Everybody
okay,
poops
Charles,
and
I
everybody
don't
goes
have
to
an
mics.
echo.
Good. Awesome.
But I can't hear you.
I don't. What do you mean you can't? What?
We're just a hot mess express tonight. Okay, so I've got speaker, microphone. I'm going to go plug it back into the computer.
Yeah,
Please help.
Yeah, I know. Through all the different jumps and all the different things.
Say something.
Testing. How about
I still
now?
can't hear you, but I didn't change the settings.
Why? I didn't change the settings either. Oh my God. So this is the truth of how you be awesome as you go through all this craziness. Oh my goodness. And now I'm unmuted.
Excuse me. No, I can hear you. I could hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear me too.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
Is it an echo or not?
No echo. Just me.
Okay.
I'm just, but I'm not hearing it through like my headset me. I'm hearing it through Tyra Talks Loud me.
Oh,
But
okay,
who cares? I'm only hearing one me because for a moment there were multiple Tyras. And do we really need that?
And now it says it messed with my sound again. We'll check. Hello, everybody, to Technical Difficulties, the podcast. But here's the thing, honestly, this is where I like living out loud, because, no, that's an 87. I don't. Oh my God, what is this one? That was
know,
75. Okay, Jen, I don't know why it's saying I'm quiet because I've checked everything on my side. It says we're good.
That was 8. Oh, that is right now. She just said that.
Yeah. So
He's
right,
good on my
we're
end.
done. We're done bugging people with our technical difficulties.
We're so sorry. I'm zipping my cord bags back up.
No,
Please hold.
Stop saying you're sorry.
I am.
But no, so that's part of what we do is we show the reality of who we are, how it goes through, how you handle it. We were dealing with it before the show.
Yep.
And as we started the show, we are dealing with it now. And that's okay because we want to be transparent. That's part of being awesome together as we walk through and show you're not alone. You're not having to experience this stuff that, oh, you guys, Charles, you've done this 20 years. Obviously, you don't have any more problems. No, it's because you cannot control what you cannot control. And that actually is a good segue into the power of yes. Because sometimes we say yes in doing things because we believe in the right person, the right place, right time. But we really don't know who the right person, where the right place is, or what the right time is. Right? So, Tyra?
Yes.
In your career.
Yes.
In your life.
Yes.
And I know a few stories if you need me to prompt you. Where you've been in the unknown. You really don't know what the next thing is. You're very outside your comfort zone. You're very unsure of yourself, but you took the belief that somebody else had in you and you said yes, and you did it.
When I stepped in front of a camera for Building Bold Connections, when I stepped on live streaming here, when I step in front of my marketing and magic and mayhem class in the mid-March, teaching something that I really have no business teaching, but I'm going to anyway.
Marketing, magic, and mayhem. That sounds like a panel at Dragon Con.
It is Taylor Swift, the NFL, and New Heights marketing. So I'm going to discuss fandom, parasocial relationships, toxic social media, the NFL, salary caps, what to do when you have to shift careers, things like that. Oh, and merchandising. I'm going to talk a lot about merchandising.
Can I just come in and audit this class?
It's going to be fun.
Let me remote and watch you every day because I need some of this class for sure.
But I'm full jumping off the cliff because first off, nobody's taught anything like this before. It's like the same time when I taught social media the first time. I'm taking concepts that are a part of curriculum and saying, okay, let's do this, but let's do it fun. Let's talk about terrorism and how it impacts things. Let's talk about, she had her show canceled in Austria. So we talk about the power of what do you do when you shift, the power of fandom, so much so that every team in the NFL had their salary caps raised because all of a sudden the NFL's demographic changed. Mm-hmm. So, I sometimes like jumping off the cliff. I'm still not very good at jumping off this cliff.
I get you. And that's where I always try to be that good co-host and friend and going, come on, you got this. Yeah, you might have just fallen in the mud, but it's just mud. Get up. It's fine. Just fine.
It was Charles's fault anyway.
Always. Oh, see, that's also a great thing that I can give people. It's always my fault.
But it really was. It wasn't your
Usually.
fault. It was StreamYard's fault.
No, this time it's I cannot move away fast enough from this platform. I just got to get.
You got to find me a place. Got to find me a place.
So, I didn't have the volume up. I hit like a chump, but that didn't work. Here's one specific one.
Yes.
Here's the thing. If you believe in yourself enough, you'll put that energy out. You'll put that face out. and people will see you in a light that goes, oh, you can do this, things you've never thought of. You can do this, you can do this, you can do, and put you in places that you never would have found yourself originally on your own volition, and making connections that you didn't see coming. And one of those times, Tyra, I don't remember which Awesome Women in Digital Media it was, but before we did that panel for you to be moderator, you were a panelist on SEO, which you're super comfortable with. Then you were a panelist on a number of other topics. Well, okay, see, she's mouthing for the podcast. She's mouthing, no, I wasn't. But that's the thing. Nobody could tell. And all I see is an expert Tyra on that panel. Then the next panel's expert Tyra. The next panel's expert Tyra. Then before you know it, I'm like, Tyra's
it must be expert Tyra.
Exactly. She knows what she's doing, and she's going to do a great job because she's personable. She's exciting. She doesn't let the 4-letter words get to her, or the
no, I just say them.
So I said, hey, I'm putting together this Awesome Women of Digital Media, which you'd been aware of. I think you had been a guest on it once or twice at Dragon Con.
Yes, I had.
And I said, I want you to run it. And on the outside, Tyra was like, sure. On the inside, how loud were you screaming? Yeah.
You know when you see Kermit like running back and forth? That was me. I'm like,
so
because we had guests. They weren't just, a social media people. We had the McElroy wives, as I like to refer to them. And by the way, my lighting really sucks, so I'm going to go back to that. And I wasn't sure how it would go, and I knew that we had some issues in terms of topic and conversation. So it was a matter of trying to balance guests, which I haven't had to do before, and making sure that we had a conversation that didn't put anybody ill at ease, but also didn't avoid topics. So we had a lot of discussions about beforehand. Some people didn't want to discuss the impact on motherhood on being a digital creator. I'm like, hold it. I know not every female, myself included, is a mother, but being a mother definitely impacts your digital creation. Being a wife does. Being a partner does. Being anything does. But that one particularly, a lot of women experience. And I think it was a topic that should have been touched on. And so I can't remember if we had any mothers. We had mothers on the panel that didn't want to talk about being mothers. That's what it was.
Yeah. There was somebody on the panel was like, I don't know. I just talked to a microphone. There's like, then your manager shouldn't have put you on this panel. We were very clear on what this panel was. And honestly, my wife would have said that at one point, but that was never true. She saw what went into what went on. She could talk about her experience with it. Mm-hmm. She could talk about her experience on the microphone. Definitely could talk about how me being a podcaster has affected her being a mother.
Oh, for sure.
There's so many things, but that was not the magic of Yes for them. They just kind of showed up like, see that, what's a great point that we didn't even think about. You changed your tag to Hot Mess Express. I just saw that.
It's been Hot Mess Express since I logged in.
So I definitely don't believe we should say yes to everything. I've done that in my life. I've gotten burned out. I found myself in places I just didn't want to be. I mean, I can carry myself in any conversation anywhere, but there's definitely a conversation like, God, I'm so bored. I don't want to be here. I shouldn't have said yes. This is just kind of a waste of my time. So we don't want to say yes to everything. And that's a good case is they just showed up. They said yes. And some of the content was good, but it's like the effort wasn't there. They didn't want to lean into the yes. And I think that's important.
Well, I think they also knew that they were unlike the other women on the panel. Like the other women on the panel were creators in every sense of that word. And I think that they kind of knew that they were not where they possibly should be.
But this is just my perspective, right? I feel like I fit into everything when I feel like everybody can fit into everything because as humans, we can all talk about our experience. And I get it. You're on a panel with a horror. I think that's the same one with the horror film director. You got Katie Asaurus on the end. You've got you on one end. But here Chelsea. They are. Yeah. Yes. And here we are doing all different levels, all different walks of life. You were not different just because you didn't go figure out how to code the RSS file. You're not lesser than, because at the time you hadn't done live streaming, Tyra. So you're not
Yeah.
lesser than because you're not a live streamer and somebody else is talking about live streaming. You bring you to the table every
True.
time. And that still plays into the magic of yes, because when you believe in that, and I think you believe in that, Tyra, because while you were like, "Oh, I'm not confident about the SEO panel," until afterwards you saw what you did. I'm not, but you had
You
that
just gotta jump.
some of that exactly. You have some of that self doubt, but you know when you jump, you will bring Tyra Burton to that table no matter what. And if it's a,
You'll at least laugh.
yeah, you know, there you go. There you go. And I'm trying to think of like the most out there topic for you to not talk on. Men's prostate health panel. Somehow you
I'll
land
talk
on
about that. I got a husband. Men's prostate health is super
That's what I'm
important.
talking about.
You
See,
should go
that's-
get that blood test, gentlemen, because it is a cancer that can be taken care of if you catch it soon enough.
See, that's the kind of attitude I'm talking about. Is that I don't know if I can see. I don't know if I can find a topic that you're like, yeah, no, because no matter what, you will find some kind of hook in there. You'll find something that you can relate to, something you can talk about. I mean, I remember the first time you said to me, "Would you come lecture for my class?" I didn't even ask what the class was. I'm like, yeah. I'm thinking, I don't know what are like the standards at a university. You know what? I don't care. I'm going to show up and we'll figure it out. And then, of course, beforehand, you prepped me on whatever. Every class you teach is different. So whatever week I come in, it's a different point. But yeah, you prepped me on whatever it was.
We've learned the sign.
Yeah, we've learned the my neck is itching sign. Yeah. Which I think if you sit with me, I don't get that sign. It's when you let me loose and you're sitting in the back. It's every once in a while I get that sign.
Yeah, no. I remember the first class we talked a lot about, you brought up 420, shall we say. And I'm like, I would just like to remind everybody that what happens in the classroom stays in the classroom. Thank you.
I know my audience, and all of them went, everybody
I know.
except Tyra. Everybody went, oh, that makes sense. Tyra's like, we do not endorse this as a school. Charles is his own being. Everyone's like, huh? Oh, yeah, I guess so, huh?
Yeah. Here's my disclaimer for the day.
And here's a quick piece of advice that I gave. I said, because people were like, as students, well, how do you deal with being nervous? I'm like, well, I don't, because I don't get nervous. But if you got to calm your nerves, do whatever you got to do. Shotgun a Miller Lite, take a little shot, or hit some broccoli. Whatever works for you. That's what I was like, woo! See.
I didn't even know it was called broccoli back then. So
Right. I didn't call it broccoli back then either.
No,
but
you
that's what I
didn't.
like to refer to. So,
but you were talking about a phase in your life where things had gone to shit, and how
Oh yeah, yeah.
how you can get lost.
Nights.
Yeah, you can get lost in stuff, and sometimes you need to get a clear picture. There is one thing I want to say about saying yes, though.
Say it.
As we get going into this topic, and that is when you say yes to something, you've got to figure out what you're going to say no to. What are you going to take?
Hard one to work on.
What are you going to take off the plate if you're putting something on the plate? Because the plate is no bigger. The plate is the same freaking size.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a podcast, I'll have to find a link to it, the Marketing Explorer, and he had a guest that talked about the fact that you need to take actually 2 things off your plate for every one thing you put on, because the one thing you put on is going to be new and it's going to take up more time.
Interesting. Before I step back from that, before you can get to that, I always try to push people to find the edges of their plates. If we're going to use the plate metaphor, there's a lot of people who think they have that tiny tapas plate and they really have a huge dinner plate that they're not using.
Yeah.
And we get, and I just seen it so many times in my own life and the people around me, both at work, both in digital media, everywhere. I'm overloaded. I give one of my proteges at work a hard time because I gave her some responsibilities, and then within like 2 weeks, like I got to tap the desk and overloaded. I'm like, overloaded? We haven't even gotten the car to go to Disney World yet. Overloaded? What are you talking about? Overloaded? Come on, let me show you some. Ride with me for a day. And then once they got a perspective of what I go through, it's like nobody's asking you to walk into that weight room and bench press 450 pounds. I gave you 2 5-pound plates to bench press. I gave you a large plate, but I only put a little hamburger in there for you to eat. slowly figure out what you're going to do, but find that edge of the plate. Now, once you know what your plate is, and at this point in our careers, Tyra and I both know what our plates are.
I know what my plate is.
That's when you absolutely. I never thought about taking two things off because, yeah, when it's new,
It
takes
takes
a lot
up
of
so much
effort,
more time.
you know. God, what about the principle? And I got some stories to tell too, but what about the principle of only doing the things that excite you? Because I have a very hard time I work towards that a lot. That's my goal, but I am having a hard time visualizing a life where I can go, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I only want to do this. But I see
I'm
people who do that. So what do you
yeah.
think?
I'm pretty lucky in that given my profession, I kind of get to pick and choose. But there have been times when I had to do things I did not want to do. I never wanted to teach international marketing. Was not on my my bingo card, but I did. And in person. Didn't really want to do that either. I didn't want to have to make an advertising class online shell and teach it, but I am, and I did. Um, because sometimes you just got to do some stuff because it's part of the bigger picture.
And I find in my life that when I do the things that I thought I didn't want to do, it's not that, oh, I ended up wanting to do them. No, I still didn't want to do them, but I learned things that possibly could have been taught to me other ways, but it would have taken a lot longer. And
I learned
that's
that,
where, yeah.
yeah, I learned I never wanted to teach international marketing again. That's what I learned.
There's that. I have learned that I never want to be the chief of operations ever again because I learned what I needed to learn during that process, tested my theories, got to put that up on the shelf, going, what I thought could be right was right. Now I'm ready to take those lessons that I proved that I could do and move on. It's almost like building a company and getting that proof of market, right? You get it up to a certain point and then you just sell it. And, that's the Silicon Valley model, right? Is they build
True.
software, build a company online, and then in a few years sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever, on to the next one. And that's kind of how that was. But when you find somebody, I think it does help that find people who believe in you. Now, man, that's such a deep topic too. Because when we start talking about belief, you really need to know that they know you, right? I've had people around me, and I've been called a guru all my life. It's weird that way because I don't run in circles. Well, guru is a freaking term, right? Because that's an actual term. I don't know the full definition of it. I haven't looked it up, but that's a thing for religious stuff and other things. But I've been called like an internet guru, a podcasting guru, a speaking guru. People just throw that term at me, and I'm not kidding. For the entirety of my adult life, somewhere along the way, in whatever path I'm in at that time, I start getting called that thing. And one of the people who called me a podcasting guru, she would always say, "Oh, you should get this person to be on your show." She had no clue what my shows were about. She had no clue how I did my show. She had no clue what it takes to get somebody to talk to you on a show. She just got excited around me. And all of a sudden was like, "Oh, you can do anything. You can podcast anywhere. You can." I was like, "Well, okay, you don't know me. You don't know what you're talking about. But thank you. You have to be that's almost a yes man, right, Tyra? The ultimate cheerleader that doesn't really know what team they're cheering for."
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate hype man is somebody who actually knows what they're cheering for.
Yes.
And there are people that are the best hype men at anything. Like they just know how to walk into a room and make everybody feel good. So there's some generic hype men out there, but I think the ones that are like specific to areas are really good. And I think in some ways you're that way, or in that way in digital media, and that you know how to hype and support people within this kind of world that we exist in.
Sometimes it just takes a little bit of belief. I mean, for you, Tyra, all we got to do is clap and you get your wings and you fly, or whatever Tinkerbell does. But for me, I needed people to just see what I did and tell me it was good to a certain point. And my wife did that a number of years. Many people along the way have done it. And that's one of the things I can give back. I can be truthful and go, yeah, I'll use you, Tyra. It's like, hey, Tyra, you are amazing. You are great. And the first time I pushed you up to moderate, And it wasn't a big push, but it was a little bit of a push. It's like, well, one, I'm here. I think literally ran back and forth across the room with the microphones and stuff. And
You did.
you were having fun. And you just knew I was there to support. And you knew that you saw what I did with the track.
Mm-hmm.
And so you knew the type of thing I was into, right? Professionalism, future growth, those kind of things that you can relate to. And so you go, okay, well, I'm putting words into your brain, but I infer that when I said, hey, I'd like you to moderate, past the Kermit screaming back and forth, Scooter was there going, well, I mean, if he thinks I can do it, and I like that he did this, and this, and he saw this in other people, why not?
Yeah.
And then I remember clearly afterwards, you were like, thank you so much. I didn't think I can do it, but after doing it, it's not so bad. And I really like this.
Yeah. No, I still enjoy being a panelist and moderating. And I particularly like moderating. I did a lot at Chattacon.
Yeah, you did great. You had to moderate me and Bob Magoo, and I loved that so much.
On each side of me, ladies and gentlemen. And one night on Be Awesome Together, at some point in the future, Bob will be on here. I've been trying to book him. He is a very busy man. And he's freshly married. Like you and I are like old school married. You've been married for 20 something years. I get to celebrate 15 this year. Bob is like on 1.
I think he's like 2 or 3.
You think so? Maybe it is 2 or 3.
Well, because Chattacon last year is where I physically met him, and that's when he did Wise and Nerdy the first time, and he was telling a story about his stepdaughter. So at least at 6 months, because it's a Christmas story, and we're doing it in February. Okay. So at least 5, 6 months he's been married then. So you know what? When he comes on, the first thing right after this is how this is gonna go. It's gonna be like we're dancing. Hey everybody, Bob, how long have you been married? That's how the show's gonna start. So we're gonna get him.
Awesome. So I'm going to turn my mic down because I just got some feedback from one of our listeners that's saying you're still really quiet and I'm loud. So I'm going to turn down my gain.
I don't understand because in my headphones and on my recording, everything is similar. I love the little touch things as you're
I'm trying. The touch thing sucks. I just want to say that.
See, we are at even levels on StreamYard itself.
Pause, let me know if that sounds better. Thanks, hon.
Well, you're quieter in my ears, but that's okay. That's okay. I can fix that on my side for recording. But yeah, we're both at the same levels on, and I know. People are like, why are you interrupting the show for that? It's like, well, we're not. We're being transparent that if you're hearing things, you're noticing things when we get feedback, as you might in your own show and in your own projects, you need to be open to feedback. And the reason I always deal with this stuff when it happens in the moment is to, one, practice taking the stigma out of myself going, oh my God, another mess up or another thing. And 2, just to address it and move on.
Right.
It's not like you didn't hear it at home.
Well, and we don't want somebody not to hear you and hear me too much. We want you to be comfortable out there in our audience land.
Survey says a bullshit. A bullshit. What? Everybody wants to hear you more than me. Everybody.
That's true.
So
it's not true, but
I mean, I want to hear myself more than anybody else, but that's just me.
It's true. I mean, you don't have Squirt.
That's true. I have Animal. There you go.
That's
1980s
true.
wristband Animal. So
anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about the power of belief, the power of yes, knowing your plate, knowing what to take off, what to put on, and that one has been difficult for me because
it's horrible for me.
I honestly only maybe in the last few years have I started to find the edges of my plate, because there have definitely been times where I could carry a whole lot and do a whole lot. And I do think it changes because, okay, you go somewhere and they put a big old steak on your plate. Well, that covers 2/3 of the plate. So you only have so much room to put something. And that's kind of my career right now, is I had a big old steak covering that plate. But before, I had a bunch of little, tater tots and sliders and whatever fun foods you want to put on your plate. But it looked like a great plate because it had so many things on it, right? Because I had more room to put things on it. The plate didn't change. It's just what's on it changed. And I do feel like coming up in the next couple of months, it's going to return to a whole bunch of little things. And that keeps me going, because if I hit a plateau on one thing, I can work in another direction, because that happens. We talked about that on Success Freaks, which is going to come into play in the stories here. Of like it, we talked about it as a whole episode one night of pushing up a hill, pushing. You feel that progress, you see that progress, then it just hits this moment where you're like, no matter what I push, there's no progress. It's just here. Now I'm not sliding backwards. I'm not losing any ground, but I sure don't feel like I'm gaining any ground.
Any ground.
And especially, I think it's for everybody. I was going to say, especially for creatives, but I really think this can be in your marriage. This can be with your kids. This can be just in your day job, anywhere in life. You have to have many outlets. You have to have, the hobby of knitting or gaming or other things. You can feel progress in your life, because if you only, and I've worked with my wife almost 21 years. My oldest son will be 20 years old this April. So almost 20 years I've worked on her going, you can't only be a mother, because at some point they will be gone and then you'll have nothing. Because that's the adage, right? I have not personally seen that in my life with the people I grew up with, but I've heard that so many times with retirees that dad only worked and that's all he ever did. And mom was just a mom. And when the kids graduated and then she had nothing to do. And then dad retired and they had nothing to do. And they didn't know who they were together. Or alone, for that matter. Yes, Jen, you have a question. Go ahead and type it in. It's our show. We can go 3 hours if we want to. World of Warcraft can wait, Tyra.
No.
So yeah, she's gonna type that out. So
I'm making time in my life for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I'm making time in my life for gaming, and I just kind of put that in general. And because Aaron and I have lately been sitting at the kitchen table playing Tears of the Kingdom still. And I also have Diablo 4 and Tiny Tina's Wonderland by Borderlands. It's a D&D version of Borderlands. That's really fun with all the characters and stuff.
Nice.
And so, but also, I'm trying to make time to get my Patreon, my personal Patreon up and going. And I need to get some videos to go with that. We're all making time. And that's the thing. Somebody said not too long ago, and I love this, you cannot manage time. Time is what it is. You can only manage yourself in time. So I've been trying to consciously make some decisions. And there's some other things going on where there's just some to it. Even if it's not I just haven't got back to it. It feels good to get back to it. It's I'll go, okay, I'm going to dive in, force myself into it, start working on something. And an hour later, it feels like 3 hours. So I think there's some vitamin deficiency, something else going on with my energy levels that I got to get looked at. But beyond all that, well, not even beyond all that. That's all part of the yes. That's all part of the, can you fill the plate? And when the plate didn't change and yet you feel like it's over full, is it my life? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to rest? Do I need to rejuvenate somewhere?
And sometimes the plate size changes.
This is true.
I mean, sometimes, and there are parts of the year where I know the plate I have for creativity is bigger than other parts of the year.
That's
I know that. And this year what I did was I took a calendar where it is all on one page for the entire year, and I took colors and I color coded days that I knew I could not do anything, or I had a major deadline, or I was on a trip or at a con or what have you. So I could actually physically see what I had left to be able to be, what days could I be creative with, so I could be more realistic about the expectations I was setting upon myself.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say. Pass the plate. She done preached. But that is, 100%.
And as creators, you have to have a supportive spouse. I'll just say that. If Shane does not mind or get jealous of the time I spend doing this, or we've got a director's meeting on Saturday, I'm going to be able to go because he's not threatened by that. And that's great. But I think Jen has a great question for you.
It's a tough question.
It is a tough question. I'm going to tell you.
So you do have to have an understanding spouse and communicate a lot. But Jen's question is when and for what do you support your wife in the way you'd like her to support your interests? Based on my wise and nerdy question, that is Thursday nights, 8:30 p.m. on YouTube at Wise and Nerdy. So honestly, it's the kids. It's the kids. I grew up where my dad definitely wanted me in sports, and he'd come to my games, and my mom wanted me and cultural things, the arts, and she would sign me up for a community theater play and take me to practices. So I definitely had parental support and things, and a lot of things I wanted to do, but for whatever reason, also I grew up knowing that a lot of what we do as kids is fun and somewhat educational and building our lives, but it's a little bit of a waste of time. And so when my wife signs up my kids for everything under the sun, not kidding, we would go to 3 trunk or treats in a day because she wanted to maximize just the adventure and the candy time and stuff. And I got tired real fast of that. She will sign them up for during the summer times in the South. It's vacation Bible school, and it's usually a week, and it's not a whole day. Usually there's morning ones for a couple hours, the evening ones, but there's something to do, and it's social time for the kids. You have to go do stuff because we're not worried about indoctrination or anything. We've already talked to our children about making their choices, educating, learning things. So I'm okay with sending them to a church for a few hours for them to color and make crafts and play sports and meet people and then come home. But she'll do 2 in a day, a morning one and an evening one. And I'm like, oh my God, you drive me
That's
crazy.
a lot.
And then she signs them up for sports, and they do basketball, and they do wrestling, and these things that they want to do like 3 games a week and all this other. It's a lot. So
It
how do I
keeps them
support
off the
her?
streets.
Look, these kids need to toughen up and get on these streets a little bit. A little bit. Everybody needs to know how to make some money the hard way, is all I'm saying. Not that kind of streets, Tyra. Get your mind out of the gutter.
No.
But I don't fuss or fight because I do think it's too much. I think there's other avenues we can spend that energy, time, and money with the same or better results. But it's okay. It's what she wants. And for the most part, it's what the kids want.
That really is the important part right there.
And so I know, even though it's okay that I don't go with them to do things, because there's just so much. Because also, I'm out of the house working. Even when I'm in the house working, I'm working on 5 things at once and doing digital media. I'm working all the time, which I love. I choose. And I do make time for my family. But there's like Saturday mornings is a day I don't want to get up because it's the only time I really have to sleep in. And of course, guess where every kid's game is? 8:30 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And so I've told them, I'll make it to at least one of your games in each thing that you do. The VBS thing, if I can be around to drop you off and pick you up, sure, I'll help my wife in that, because she'll mostly do it herself, but there's times when, hey, can you? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll go do that for you. No problem. The trunk or treats, I will absolutely pick and choose on what my mood is because I don't want to be grumpy when I'm out there. But I know about halfway through the second one, if I'm tired before we leave, I'll be like, I'm going to sit in the car. And I'm not trying to be moody, but and then everybody's like, well, Dad's in the car. Now we feel a little weird about it, or, those kind of things. So that's how I support it. I think it's crazy. I personally think it's nuts. It's too much. My kids are a mix of her and me. They love doing it, but they also will sit in their rooms and play on their tablets and read books and draw and stuff too, all by themselves. So there's that. Did that answer the question?
Your children are very self-sufficient.
Yeah, it does bother. Every once in a while, I have to kick them out of the house. I'm like, all right, look, the weather's nice. Go get on your bikes. Go do something outside. And that usually will kickstart them into doing something for a while outside. Because they very much will be tablet babies if we let them. But also, all of them go to the local library. So we're part of the Friends of the Library group. So we get the member sales. And I mean, it's okay books. It's nothing special. But they love support. They will come home with stacks of books that they bought. And they will read them. They'll read through them. All of them have creative elements to them. They either code or they draw or Minecraft. Even though it's a game, they will spend hours like building things, not just running around fighting whatever. So there's a balance to everything. And then her family. If it were up to me, here comes the real rock. Are you ready? All right.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're taking off the Zoop roads. I don't like people. I don't like people. I'd love people, but I don't like people. And I don't care about holidays. I don't care about birthdays. I don't care. I would rather not even realize, oh, Christmas is here. Oh, okay, cool. You know, the only reason I know Christmas here is I'm not getting calls on my work phone. Cool. We'll just chill out and hang out, you know, with the people. But we do these family dinners. And there have been times when they were very strenuous and very like, I hate this. But the magic of yes. I go, whatever you want, babe. I will find the parts that I like. I do like Easter dinner, the foods of Easter dinner and Christmas dinner. I love it. And those are the only times we really go all out and do that thing. But having my house full of half the people I don't really like. I mean, I like half of her family, the other half, all of us hate. But and I'm like, but why? Why? That goes deeper into the family and arguments, all that stuff. But yeah, it's that.
But I mean, I think that's supporting something that's important to her.
It is. It is. Now, she gets overly sensitive about it, and we've had a few conversations, especially in public. Because when I say overly sensitive, I was like, there's a member of the family that without fail, whenever they show up, their kids are crying and screaming. And they are the kind of parents like, well, use your words to tell me how you're feeling. And I'm not talking about 8-year-olds or 18-year-olds, although that'd be kind of funny, an 18-year-old crying and screaming, their mom telling them about words. I'm talking about 3 and 4-year-olds. And you know, as they've grown up, I think there might be in this 5-6 range every time. And I'm like, because that's the one rule we've always had when our kids, if they were going to, one of us would say, we'll leave with them. We're not going to ruin everybody else's experience because our kids are fairly well behaved, but for whatever reason,
every now and then
doing this.
Everybody has a bad day.
And I started to say something just to her because I should be able to trust my wife and go, she better do something about that. And she so already says, she's like, I mean, you could feel the energy on her like bear. I was like, don't you start something. I was like, don't tell me what to do in my house. This is our house, but I'll be damned if you're going to tell me I can't tell somebody. I mean, I do it quietly to her, but like, don't start a fight. I literally was just confiding in you. Don't start a fight. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but this is just the truth of some of these family gatherings. And that's how tense it can be sometimes. But I still support her. And yes, Kaz, yes. She goes, is that her personal interest, like your entertaining podcast? Yeah, I know. Right? She doesn't have friends. She doesn't have things she wants to go out and do other than she loves doing roadie and Lyft, and that's delivery work kind of stuff. She loves entertaining, like bringing people in, like hosting. She loves hosting. And for whatever reason, she loves the idea of family. I had to say it that way because she definitely doesn't like all her family, but she loves the idea of family. And yes, and the kids doing all that stuff. She came with me to Chattacon.
She did. I was so proud of her.
Very difficult.
I was so afraid she wouldn't come.
Yeah, and there's many, many reasons that could happen, but one of them was absolutely, there was a wrestling tournament that morning for my son to wrestle in. He's okay. He's not the greatest wrestler in the world. He's not the worst. There's nothing special about what him and his team do. It's okay. He did exactly what we thought. He lost one, he won one. He's 50-50.
That's awesome.
It is. But it's not like, oh my God, we missed it, right? My daughter's in basketball. She didn't even want to play basketball. You know, she picked it. She didn't want to do it anymore. And there's no real reason for it. Other than she's like, I'm done. So she's not going to, it's not a real good reason for us to go see it. But because Erin was missing both of those things, even though she's been to a dozen practices and games already in the last month and a dozen practices and wrestling tournaments in the last month, just knowing that she's going to miss it was hard for her. So yeah, that is her interest, is her kids doing things and watching them do things. And that's how she was raised too. At some point in her life, is just her and her mom, and they just did adventures all the time, go hiking in the mountains, just things, right? So
we gotta find Erin things to say yes to that feed her soul as an individual. Because I think you said something about it's really easy to get caught up in whatever it is. It could be motherhood, fatherhood, what you do for your living, and forget that there's other parts of yourself that need to be fed as well. Like for me, the creative side I have to feed. I mean, part of my creative side is teaching, but also sitting on the couch doing crochet or writing, which I have desperately got to do. That is the thing that starting February, I looked at my calendar and I said, okay, January is going to be a wash for a lot of reasons, but I have a lot of time in February. And so it is my month to figure out how to make this writing thing work. What am I going to take off the plate to put that on the plate?
Yeah. For whatever reason, you after talking to you recently, right before Chattacon, I just got to thinking about the book that I co-wrote, and I pulled it
Yes.
out. By the way, you can only get it free on Kindle, or pay $4 on Kindle to have it. You can't get the print anymore for some reason. I don't know why. Because actually, I thought it'd be fun to have the well, it's a paperback, but the paperback copy show up in your mailbox at your house, Tyra. You're like, what is this? But you can't even get it. You can't. There's no such thing. So I just, instead of doing the Kindle, I just pulled out the PDF. And I sent it to you and Bob. Bob's actually finished reading it and gave me some feedback.
Bob
So I
is
was
so
like,
much better than me.
Bob's better than all of us.
That's true.
But, and the feedback he gave was specific to that style book that I had. And it is a motivational thing based on blog posts that we went back and revisited and shaped in this topic. So my partner did one, and then I did one. And so we did heart hunting, head hunting, and I can't remember, career hunting or something. That's 3 sections of the book. And it's just thoughts and topics. And he gave some good feedback. And like, cool, that actually inspires me to want to go back and look at it and talk about my adventures and different things with it, or even revisit, because that was 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what do I know now from that same story, and so on and so forth. And yeah, I did send it to you, but I know you're busy. But that's the same thing. Okay, cool. What am I going to do with that right now?
Right.
I mean, I need to get but it's a royal we both are carrying our own weight. We need to be awesome together a little bit tighter and its own being. There's a lot of things. I need to get some web pages done on my own. Web pages done on what he meant. I
Need
want
to
to build my own
update
Patreon.
charlesmcfall.com.
Exactly. There's so. What am I going to do with the book right now? Much less the second book that I started a while back and just let somebody poop on and just back shelved it, but knew I was going to pick it up. Time is everything. Right people, right place, right time. And that actually transitions me into the story. Now, if you follow me on TikTok, it's the latest video I posted as of, what's today, 1/29?
Yes.
Yeah. So as of that, I recorded it yesterday and posted it last night, and it's on YouTube as well. It's one of the few that I put on YouTube because a buddy of mine didn't have TikTok, and I wanted him to see the video. So why not? He was just on YouTube. I went, hold on. It is now. Here's a link. There you go. And it's a fun story, and I want you to go watch it because, one,
I do watch your stuff.
I know you do. Thank you. I meant Jennifer. Come on. Cause has got to get up to speed. But I want everybody to go watch it because, one, storytelling is an art. And this whole get things done in quick cuts, 30 seconds, 1 minute, minute and a half, 3 minutes max. I'm sorry. I'm going to fight against that for a very long time because stories are meant to be enjoyed and experienced. And hey, it's on YouTube now. I can understand. It's on you. And honestly, I'm going to start posting in other places because there's a lot of people who don't have TikTok. So let me put it on my YouTube page. I don't do anything else with it. Might as well use it for this stuff. It's probably where I got a podcasting on YouTube.
It
Honestly.
should be on his link tree.
It might be. I don't use that hardly ever, but I always see the videos up. So there's a video of my now 20-year-old son when he was in diapers playing with drum kit on there. It's awesome. But I tell the whole story, but here's the short version. Our morning and I had only been doing Success Freaks for a very short time. And actually, I don't think it was called that then. I think it was called The Other Side of Life, maybe. Or we were just testing out that name, Success Freaks, because I know it's pretty new to us. But we're this motivational team of coming from, both of us were striving. Well, we were chasing excellence, as Tyra and I have taken that title, but we're striving to be successful. So we're documenting our journeys, talking to each other about successes we've had, failures, and where we're trying to go, and all that kind of thing. And New Media Expo Blog World had just that year turned into New Media Expo, or somebody had bought somebody, and they had just had one in New York City, and I think Ricky was listening to Dave Jackson, who's a friend of mine, and he's done so many different shows, but he's one of the founding fathers of podcasting as far as corporations and stuff. Jen found it awesome. Anyway, he was talking about how he was going to speak at New Media Expo in New York, and or Vegas. I forget which one. I think it's Vegas, and now, the thing is with podcasting, it can always be time delayed. And I knew for a fact this particular episode he's listened to was at least a month old. Because they're like, yeah, they're still looking for speakers. So he calls me up and says, oh man, we should pitch in to go speak there. We should go do that. I'm like, it's in 3 days, dude. It's in 3 days. There's no way. No. He said they were still looking for speakers. I'm like, I can guarantee you they are not, because that was a month old.
Right.
Nobody's booking speakers in Vegas. So it's not like it's a, hey, we threw this one day pod jam thing together. We're still pod jam coming up March 1st, Atlanta. It's awesome.
I know. You,
I'm so excited.
I got to move our meetings on my calendar, just saying, because if
Yeah,
it's not
no,
on my
no,
calendar,
sorry.
I don't remember.
Yeah. But
Personal
there's there's something to be said about smaller places, or even honestly, even DragonCon, we do it in such small bites that even this year I had somebody cancel 2 or 3 days before the con, but I always had some backups. So the first one, my backup called them up, say, hey, you're
Get
up.
ready.
Well, are you ready? Are you good? Like, yeah, we'd love to do that. Done. So yeah, but typically, right, DragonCon's not asking. We're definitely not recruiting speakers 3 days before the con. And so, of course, we reached out, found the contact, and the guy was like, "Oh man, I love your pitch, but no, we're definitely all booked for that. But why don't you come meet us on your dime?" Of course, they wanted us to buy tickets, which we did, and maybe we can get you to New York. Well, then they never did a New York one. Fun fact: the very next one, I absolutely did a panel at New Media Expo Vegas the next year,
Cool.
but I was like resistant. Our morning mom was like, "No, we gotta go." I'm like, dude, I cannot afford a plane ticket. I cannot afford a hotel room. I definitely can't afford the passes for this stupid thing. He goes, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." Well, because Success Reach was making some money, so he's like, I'll just take it out of the company, whatever." Cool. You're like, all right. And he used the phrase, "Throw your backpack over the wall." Some motivational book thing he read, and he's like, "If you throw your backpack over the wall, you gotta go get it, because you're not going to let your computer stay over there. You're going to let your iPod, your headphones, whatever's in your backpack." And he goes, "So we're throwing the backpack over the wall." I went, fine. It's on my wife's birthday too, but that's okay. So yeah, that year was on my wife's birthday. And while she was understanding, and everybody has their own definition of supportive. She was understanding to a point. She got it to a point, but there were some issues with cell signals and time zones, and she was getting real pissy real fast. I wasn't taking her phone calls, and I was, not talking to her, and because it was a, I got to go do something, and she didn't. Also, who knows? And I don't know where all the turbulence came from. We obviously worked it out, but it was an interesting thing. But yeah, so all of a sudden we go, and I did not want to go, and then there we were, and I met a whole bunch of people that I talk about in the story that's on YouTube and TikTok that led me to either other people or times in my life where I'd lost my job, and there they were with a project that came out of nowhere. Honestly, nothing comes out of nowhere. We'd set up dominoes. We'd been working on things, and it just time is right that my bills got paid. I got paid $60 an hour to produce a podcast. And I did all the editing, recording, all the professional stuff, all like PBS style, NPR style, reach out to the guests, all that jazz. And it was enough to pay my bills until I got on my feet after I lost the job.
That's good.
I got to meet some other people who then connected me to Jim Brewer, who's the comedian from Saturday Night Live, who is also very well known for the movie Half Baked. And he's done some other stuff. He's one of my heroes. I love him. Because the people I met at that conference, because Ricky made us go to work that they did, Jim Brewer contacted them and said, "We got a guy." And I got to work with Jim Brewer for the better part of a year, helping him doing some digital media stuff and doing things. And it helped pay my bills. And now, almost 10 years later, people I met at that conference, we are coming together in a perfect timing of things, all doing charity work, all doing our strengths, which is mine is content and tech. One of the people, she does fundraising, and that's what she's always done, is fundraising and selling and getting. Basically, she worked for PBS, booking shows, and worked for other media and this and that. Built all this framework. And then another friend of mine who does social media specifically for charities and charity work, who he just happened to have lost his job 2 months ago. So he's definitely looking for something to do.
Oh, that's right.
Timing is everything. And it's just lining up to where it's not going to overload the plate. It's like, wait, for me, as long as I can spin my plate around whenever I want to, I can work in a whole lot of stuff into this plate easily just woven in. He's the same way. She's the same way. Whatever link you sent, Jen, that was 3 stars. So I'm not sure.
Send
Maybe
it over
message
on
Tyra.
Discord.
Yeah. And we can get it put up. So, and it's a 10-minute story. It's fun, but it's like, as I was introducing Barbara and Carl to each other, I was like, well, here's how I met her. And I went, wait a minute. Oh, the Better Movie link. Thank you. Yeah, The Better Man. Tyra, you gotta watch that. You gotta watch The Better Man. And now you gotta wait till streaming because America's crap and they ran it out of the theaters. But it's we'll talk about that in a minute. But I was like, hey, I met her at this specific New Media Expo, and here's why. And then I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. And it was what made me tell the story. It was like, I think that's the same expo I met Carl at. And I think that's the same expo I met this director at. And I met this person. And it's like, holy crap, because I mean, when I said I was resistant, I was telling Mornet how stupid he was. That's how resistant I was. But he didn't give up. Thank you, Tyra. I got it. He didn't give up. He didn't take no for an answer. He saw something in me that I did not see in myself. And he believed in me. And that's, for me, the power of yes. And that's why I try to give back every time. You know, when I was doing Behind the Track, was kind of the precursor to this.
Yep.
I was interviewing people, and Tyra just saw it, just saw there was a need to do something different, to do something bigger, to do something better. And this is the first live stream show you've consistently worked on, right?
Yep. Well, I was managing both of our shows because we had a Behind the Track with you, and then we had Open Mic Night. And so I was managing both those.
Yes.
This is the first one that I've like consistently been on, like as a part of it.
See, I know how to cook a frog. I
You
will
do.
slowly turn that heat up and just keep you
do.
nice and cozy.
Because, I get frustrated and I want to fix things. But that's when coming to say no is really important.
Tonight, I know we've gone all over the place with stories,
Yeah, we have.
but I'm like, I'm tired. There's another story from something I went through today, and some of my wife. I'm like, I'm tired of trying to fix the world. I'm kind of just ready to exploit it. People don't want to get fixed, so I'm going to preach to those who want to hear me. As far as like, this is what I can do. This is how you can believe in yourself. These are the things you can do. I'm going to set up ways people can pay me to get the basics, and those who really, truly want to do something different, we will find each other. Dude, maybe I should talk to Bob about that. Maybe me, you, and Bob y'all should take turns interviewing me about my life, because I don't realize the stuff I've done. And you even said I need to do the AI thing.
Oh, yeah.
But just a conversation with a human makes you think about, I'm thinking about so many other connections now, that just because I just kept saying yes. And that inner child, that little person that's always in you, that we have tried to squash, that we've let the world damage, that we've done so many things other than protect and encourage them. I stopped listening to that little dude. That dude had no fear. I would go and ask anybody anything. I never thought I could fail at anything, which led me to a lot of success, because when you think you can't fail, guess what? You don't fail most of the time. And I don't feed that kid. I don't protect that kid. But when I'm with you, that kid gets excited. I start listening. And other creators like Phil and Bob and Joe, Wise and Nerdy, those things. So what feeds your kid, Tyra, now that you changed your tag to needs to write? What if you were young Tyra now, what would you be doing? How would you write?
Oh, well, I wrote when I was young, Tyra. I wrote Star Trek fanfic was probably some of the first stuff I ever wrote.
But that kid is still in you now. Just like my 18-year-old punk butt was doing crazy things and unstoppable. I was an EMT of 18 and I was unstoppable. And now I find myself getting in my own way, where there's areas of people I don't trust myself in anymore. And my 18-year-old self would be like, are you serious? I can knock out 5 podcasts, 3 jobs, and still have fun with the family all in 4 hours, and you can't manage to do one of those things? What's wrong with you, man? So,
but the 18-year-old does not do any of those things well.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
there's
I need that energy so I can do it well now. So, okay. Stop saying no to your 17-year-old. How would your 17-year-old self in the world you're in right now write?
She wouldn't sleep. Unfortunately, I'm old and I need sleep.
Yeah, well, when we're young, we need sleep. We just don't realize how much
Yeah,
we need
no,
it.
it's 100% true. Um, I don't know because I think who I am at 56 is much better than when I was 17. So I don't want to go back to the 17-year-old
Well,
me.
I know,
I
that's not
don't.
what
I
I'm
know you
saying,
do,
but it's that
but I don't
creativeness.
because the 17-year-old me didn't believe in herself enough, didn't understand
Sure.
her eccentricities, didn't understand how my brain works differently than a lot of other people's brains. So I don't know that I want to go back to her. I mean, she was awesome and great at the time and she got me through, but I'm much happier in my 56-year-old self than I ever was in my 17-year-old self.
You know what super busy people do?
We say yes too much.
Okay, no, we're the mediocre busy people. I mean, okay, the super successful, super busy people. They plan every minute of their
Yeah.
life.
And you can't, so the people who do that are the people who are neurotypical for the
Sure,
most part.
okay.
And if you're not neurotypical, and I'm not, and I know that now more than ever, I have to figure out how to do things the way it works for me. Some people are get up in the morning and you have to do it first thing. I'm like,
Nope.
I do not have brain cells for that. And it's okay that I don't. And it's also okay for me to look at somebody and go, that's great that you're a morning person. I happen not to be. So when you can't do shit at 2 a.m., I can.
Yeah.
That's how this is different. So, yeah, I am trying to plan better. I think planning is the biggest thing that if I could accomplish and focus. But ADHD focus is hard. So I keep trying.
I get that. I have fun with my energy levels. Doing 5 things at once distracts me. Usually the 5th thing is a conversation, and I find that I can't track conversations as
Right.
much in that 5th slot as I used to be able to. And I think it's sleep, it's energy levels, it's a number of things.
But there's also the need
But
to give attention to the thing that's
Yep.
important. So like one of the
Yes.
things I realized when my parents were alive and I was out with them that I needed to stop doing all the other things and be present with them because one day I wasn't going to have them to be present with, you know?
yes,
And so I do
sitting
that with
and
my
be still.
husband. I try to make sure that I don't grade as much on the weekends, or I try not to grade at all actually, unless he's not around, because I need to spend time with him and our relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we also need the private time, like your project, your writing time. I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll, like you were at Chattacon doing things, and he was back watching the Chiefs. You know,
Oh yeah.
now y'all would share that, but you know, this blah 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 blah. You know, say,
No, we were still texting each other in the middle of Wives and Nerdy, just so you know.
I
Chiefs
know.
won. Super Bowl.
What was funny is you did all of that to end the show. Go, well, I don't know if they won or lost. I gotta go call my husband now. I was like, you just spent an hour on your phone watching that super. Anyway, balance is really what we're talking about. But I have to have schedule. I find. Oh, Jen says. I find that I can push myself to do more, but future Jen gets screwed when I do.
It's so true.
Sometimes.
I mean, there's sometimes I really am proud of past Tyra, who set future Tyra up really well. But that doesn't happen all the times.
Sure. I need some kind of structure.
Yeah, structure is not
Because,
bad.
well, they're the game, especially the games I like to play. They are. I don't know what the psychological background of it, but it's done in a way that no time passes for the brain. It's
Oh,
like
yeah, no,
little
it's
mini
stifling,
missions
yeah.
and the bigger part of the mission. You know, Tears of the Kingdom. We sat down last night around 7:00, 7:30, somewhere in there, and started playing. And I looked up and it was 11:00, and it felt like we
Yeah.
only been playing like 20 minutes. And so that's the kind of things. Oh, well, I was also working on things on my laptop. See, that's the thing. I have to choose a mix. I can't have all or nothing because I'll have nothing for me. And that's part of that scheduling is if I push on Saturdays, I still schedule my day. Is I will get up when I feel like it, which is usually between 10 and 11 a.m. I'll make my French press coffee, and then I always come out here. Unless I'm at a con or something, I come out here to the studio, and that's when I work on Wise and Nerdy. That's when we're working on Metron and Be Awesome together and get those done. And then in the past, I've absolutely then started working on web pages and this creative. I produced a whole episode of Finding a Story. So one of those is in the can for season 2. That's been a long time coming. And I was like, oh man, it's 4:00, man. I feel like I've gotten a lot done. I'm gonna go about play my game now. And so I want my life to feel like my video games. Like, man, little things are getting done. But I have found lately that with still don't quite know what's going on with my energy levels and my motivation, but with the lack of motivation, energy levels, without a schedule, it just seems like it's going to take forever. But I'll go, okay, today I'm going to knock out, what did I do last Sunday? I don't remember, but like Sunday mornings, I have the Project Metron that I work at. Once it's going, I'm basically just making sure everything goes right, flipping some screens around. And I like what he's saying. The energy in what he's saying feeds me. So usually I try to be creative there and double up my time and work on some things while I'm, listening to Jim Swilly and doing my job. And I get a lot done that way. And I don't remember exactly what I worked on, but I schedule it for then. Because I know by the time I get home Sunday afternoon, I might want to nap. It might be family time. And so I do believe for myself that scheduling helps get things done. For me, boundary. It doesn't have to be a hard and fast schedule, but a boundary of I'd like to knock this out here and do that, and keeps me on that schedule. But I'm with you. The people are like, well, I have 3 days in one day. So I get up at 5 a.m. and from 5 a.m. to noon is a whole day for me. And then from noon to 5 is a whole nother day. And then I have this time at night with the family. I was like, yeah, no. I need to get back to a life. I was the most productive when I did what you just talked about, Tyra. I'm up till 2 and 3 in the morning working on stuff because I don't have to worry about waking up. And when I can wake up at 11, 12 o'clock and then start my next day.
Well, and I'll tell you what I like about 2 a.m. is my husband's asleep.
Yeah, okay.
My dog is asleep.
Yeah.
My cats are asleep. Nobody's calling me. My students are probably not asleep, but they're not texting me at 2 a.m. Thank you. Unless you need a ride home, in which case text me. I will come get you. Or more likely, I'll send my husband. But it's the quietness. It's the stillness. If I could ever be a morning person, the same stillness exists in those morning hours. I just am not functional.
Yeah.
I wish I was functional. I'm not. It doesn't matter how much sleep I've had. But it's in the stillness and in the quiet that I get stuff done.
And I think that's why a lot of people get up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't get up well. Like you, I don't know how to start my day. I mean, when I painted that picture for Saturday, it takes me 20, 30 minutes to get my studio. And it's just across the yard. But that's because that's how my day rolls when I get up. I'm just slow. Well, but at night, at midnight, 1 o'clock, I'm good. I'm going. I can do so much.
Then I stay up too late and I don't get enough sleep. And the next day is not as good. Because if I go to bed with Shane, I know I'm going to sleep within an hour or so of him going to sleep. So it's hard. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm just going to be honest. I've got to figure it out because I've got to find time to write. But I don't know when that is. And if I set an alarm to get up early, I'm going to wake him up. And I don't want to do that because he's got a stressful job.
So that's where possibly some scheduling that you don't have to stick to. Well, make it a sticky note schedule, right? You can move it. But Monday night is writing night. Tuesday night is promotions night.
No, you see, nights are husband-wife time. That's the thing that it just is. If Shane's home,
can't you combine a little bit together? Oh, I just hit some button. I don't know what I did.
Are we gone?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay,
we're good.
But that was part of my commitment to us spending time together. Is that like we do this on Wednesday night? This is the night that I do this. Thursday nights, he's got stuff that he does with Lodge and with being a Shriner. So that leaves us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday to be a couple. And usually one of those are blown. No, it leaves us Monday, Tuesday, Friday.
But Thursday nights, writing nights, is what I just heard.
Yeah, after a day of teaching and I'm exhausted.
No, I get it. I get it.
I know. That's
Bob
the problem.
talks about music. Bob talks about...
It's so hard.
But let me ask you this. As we get ready to wrap out here.
Yeah.
Are you a writer?
Yeah.
Are you going to be writing?
Yeah.
There
I
you
write
go.
all the time. I mean...
As long as you keep that yes in your life, it will happen. There was believe it or not, there was a whole year I did not do any digital media or podcasting. And that was about 3 or 4 years into me starting this. And it drove me crazy. And it's almost like people have dry January. It did me a little bit of good to figure out how to better come back into the field because I said too many yeses and mess up too many things. But I was always the storyteller. I was always the entertainer. I was always the rock god of podcasting. I was just not putting it out to the world. That's the key, that when you say yes, if somebody's asking you to step up, like, look, I'm not going to ask you to do something at Dragon Con that I don't 100% believe you can do. I know you can do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't take a chance on you.
Right.
You just have to know you can do it. So that kind of, yes, putting yourself on the comfort zone. Having, Ricky, I mean, he knew entertainment. He knew different things. Our Morning Mon, accessories. He knew that we should go to this conference, and we did. And it did so well for both of us. And it changed my life forever because I said yes, because no was just being arbitrary. Meaning I didn't really have any good reason. He took away the good reasons, couldn't afford it. I'll pay for it. They won't let us speak. Doesn't matter. We'll go meet people. Cause saw it opening. I actually don't remember her full story of how she found the digital media track because she was volunteering in other places, but she saw an opening for us. And I remember talking to her in Discord. We didn't even do a phone call. I was just that guy, then a flyby. I can read people, even in text. And I was like, hey, do you know sound? She said, well, my husband does sound. He can show me some soundboard stuff. And I went, I know, just something on it. I went, yep, you're good. Come be part of the team. And, we've told the stories of the ups and downs with her, but that was her. That was not us. I've believed in her every step of the way. But I also learned to communicate that better and to also go, hey, you don't have to do these things that are not your wheelhouse. We have plenty of wheelhouse for you to play in. Thank you for letting me know you wanted to play in a different wheelhouse. And that's the thing. Tyra, you mentioned earlier, knowing yourself, bring yourself to the table, knowing your plate.
Yeah.
So right now, your plate has a lot of teaching on it, has a little bit of podcasting on it, which has kept you creating consistently. And
I've been creating consistently, and I write fairly short snippets consistently. Yeah. I just got to there is a book in my head driving me crazy. And I got to get it
I heard an amazing panel at some con somewhere that says if you just recorded it in a voice recorder, you can throw it into Microsoft Word, it can clean it up for you as a transcript, and then you can start outlining it.
It sort of does that, yes. That's the thing. I will tell you this. The one thing about saying yes to writing is if I can sit down and plot it, then when I have 10 minutes, I can write that section. And that is what I've got to get to. But February is the month. Because I looked at my schedule, Sunday. And February is the only month that's like completely good.
I heard what you just said. And sometimes that's it. No, you said you looked at the schedule and February's
completely
good.
You have to look at.
Yeah, sometimes right now you don't have time. But now is always temporary. Always.
Yeah.
And so that could be a year, that could be a couple of days, that could be a couple of hours. But just because, last few months, Tyra, you've been slammed busy with a lot of, and still made time to, we're doing our own little kind of mini con thing with it's crazy easy.
I have to get my stuff together. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're making time for that. It flows. Time in the flow, right? Mm-hmm. The flow will come. Things are going to, obviously, you said February is the schedule. I just want to tell people, even if right now, keep that yes in your heart. Yes, I'm a writer. Yes, I'm a podcaster. Are you podcasting right now? No, but I am a podcaster. I know I'm not writing right now, but I am a writer. You fill in the blank. And that means right play. The phrase is right person, right place, right time. Tyra, you're definitely the right person to write what you need to write. The right place usually is your house, but it'll come along. But the right time is the missing piece right now.
Yeah.
And it's the rule of threes. But the time will come. And there will be a time when I go, oh, I have the energy, I have the flow, here comes my book. And out it goes. People say, just write, just record, just do it. Just know that you can do it. Sometimes it's the best thing you can do. And if you have I have one. If I can find it, I'll bring it to you on Sunday. I have a little micro cassette tape recorder you can just carry with you. Go, All right, chapter 1. Bam, 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 bam. You know, we'll zip tie it to your visor so you don't put your hands free and drive. But you know, and then at least you'll have your audio notes somewhere, right?
Oh yeah, no, I have notes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's. I think you have a piece of plot armor. I think you have a piece of plot armor, Tyra. I think you have a piece of plot software that helps with those notes. I believe you told
I
us.
do, and I need
panel.
to train to use it again. Yes,
Yeah.
awesome. Oh, John has sent his returning
Thank you.
volunteer app in. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, all right, let's get out of here.
So let's talk about what's coming up on Be Awesome
Yes.
Together. Finally, something I know what I'm doing. Okay. Next week is the 7th. Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Sarah and Jess from Hissin' and Kissin' Monster Love will be joining us here in the studio a little later. Charles and I are going to start the episode off, and then they're going to join as soon as they can. They're in kind of different time zones and work zones than us. But they're going to
next week, 5th. Next week's the 5th.
It's this. Why do I have the 7th on the calendar?
I know, 7th is a Friday.
Hi, Kaz. Why is there a 7 on the Wednesday? 1, 2, 3. It would be the 5th. Kaz, have I been booking people for the wrong dates?
We might need to check on that. Okay, we'll do it off there. But yes, Hiss and the Kiss is coming up next week. And,
Next week.
Get here when you can. It's not like we're special or anything.
Okay, hang on just a second. Now I'm having a lot of fear. Just so we're very clear, I am having a lot of fear right now that I have booked numerous guests on the wrong dates. So this is awesome. Okay, so I'm just checking. Yes, February 5th. I actually did say February 5th to them, so I know that's right. So Hissin' and Kissin' will be here talking to us about Monster Love right before Valentine's Day. Our February, I can't do math, 12th. So it's only the 7th that was wrong. Our February 12th episode is going to be about relationships, and who knows what we're going to talk about. And then I'm hoping Vito Anthony will be joining us from our own lovely digital media track. We shall see. But don't forget, in March, we've already got people booked. Amanda Troop is going to be coming in March. And in April, we've got J.F. DeBow. I'm going to hope I'm saying that correct. I'm trying to book in Tales by Bob. Bob, I love you.
And I
Choose a date.
actually... I need to talk to you about scheduling my friend Dot Cannon in March if we can, March, April-ish.
Awesome. We can do that. So Charles will send me that. But we're booking people out. We got Hammond has really been helping us with guests, and Kaz has been helping us keep on track, and which for Charles and I is difficult. And we appreciate you so much. And we just love the fact that we've got new people coming on. So next week, we're going to hiss and we're going to kiss, but not each other.
All right. Well, every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is Wise and Nerdy. And Joe, Kurt, and I do our thing over there. And we've got some guests coming on soon. And Tyra, Pod Jam ATL is March 1st at 800 East Studios. And we have confirmed it's 100% going to be at 800 East Studios. We're getting the times locked in, but it looks like we're going to do, I think we said 12 to 4, something like that.
No idea.
He just gave me an email. We're still hammering out some details. That's who we are. We'll be polishing this thing right up to the launch time.
Tyra's going to go work on a logo. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do 3 shows and 3 MCs, basically. So me, you, and Mark, unless Mark just doesn't want to, we'll take some of the setups and we'll have 3 shows, and we're just going to have a good, fun proof of concept of what a podcast concert looks like for everybody to see. So and it's going to be fun.
We're going to have
and it's a free event. So absolutely mark your calendars. March 1st, come out to 800 East, and we'll get the times. By next week, we'll have all the times locked in, and of course, we'll put it on digital media or all of our actual social media.
And we'll have a logo by next week.
Yeah.
I love a deadline.
Deadlines are great. Check out tyraburton.com to get your deadlines.
Right. I also changed my cover photo, so I actually did something on my website.
Very cool. All right, and Tyra, I will see you Saturday at the directors meeting for DragonCon.
At 4:00.
At 4:00. All right.
Are we
Till then, everybody.
We'll talk.
Go out,
Bye.
right? Create love, and just know that when you say yes, you'll get there.
Go Chiefs.